this particular.
Hello and welcome to the Industry Podcast, Episode 2. My name is Corey Lehman. This is Blake Kraft. Later on, we'll have our other co-host, Julian. This podcast is about interviews, insights, and inside stories about the film industry and abroad. How you doing, Blake?
I'm doing excellent, thank you.
Awesome. So what can you tell me about the film industry this week?
Well, in the film industry this week, we are currently filming a film. It's a horror film called Routine. And just about a month ago, I was a PA in a grip for another horror called Vivian.
That's awesome.
And recently, back in February, just right when the snowstorm hit Austin here, I actually traveled out to help with what was it? It was a drama called Magic Hour.
Magic Hour, okay. Who was directing that, and where was it? Where was it filmed?
That was filmed at an apartment in Phoenix, Arizona.
Oh, that's really cool. Who was the director on that? Was it somebody who has done stuff before, or was it like their first film, or what was it?
It was their first time as a director.
Oh.
And his name was Duran Cribbs.
Duran Cribbs with, what was the title?
Magic Hour.
Duran Cribbs with the title Magic Hour, the short film drama Magic Hour, right?
Uh-huh.
Excellent. It's coming out of Arizona. And so our film that we worked on this weekend, Routine, that was with director Jim Cavea, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's done about 5 horror films now, and his last 2 films were just on a whole other level. We'll probably have him on the podcast in future episodes. But Blake and I have been in film production both here in Austin for a little over a year each, and then we both had a little bit of experience going to school and things like that. And so tell me a little bit about your experience coming to Austin and how much different it is from where you're from.
Well, I gotta be honest, it's a lot different. I mean, I grew up in Missouri, Springfield, and I actually studied film production at Missouri State University, and and I was in like a variety of clubs and organizations like Outdoor Adventures and Academic Media Production Guild, and
that sounds really.
And I was
really exclusive.
Mm-hmm, and I was the videographer, of a lot of those groups. And for the Academic Media Production Guild, I was actually one of the assistant editors.
That's really amazing. So, what would you say like your strength was? Was it behind the camera, just running camera?
Yeah, I think so. So to finish the question, but when I came down here. Mm-hmm. I came down here in the middle of COVID, so I couldn't really experience it that much. Mm. But then as time has gone on, I had the opportunity to be in more films. And one of the films actually, this was a dark comedy called The Cause of Death, which I did back in November of last year, 2020. Uh-huh. And it was at the Bryan Tower on like the 30th or the 40th floor, uh-huh. In a big office, but. I was the PA for that, so
that's awesome.
And I got paid a good $100 or so for that.
That's good. Paid gigs are better than free gigs 100% of the time. Just like free food is better than paid for food, just by default. Would you agree?
Yep, I would so agree to that.
Awesome. My experience was very similar. Back up north. Basically, I've been running my own photography business since about 2013. I started in college with a rented camera from school and just basically walking to the media production editing room with 20 cameras and a full kitted out studio, and I just said, this is awesome, and I want to be here forever,
Mm-hmm.
basically. And so I just tried to keep that dream alive, and photography has been kind of my mainstay. No matter what, whether I got film gigs or not, I'm always taking photos and things like that. So I think we're similar in that way, that we're both kind of camera ops, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And let's see, I wasn't in a media production guild or the high society of camera operators or anything like yourself. That sounds very exclusive
Mm-hmm.
and fun. But I was studio manager at the CSS studio, which is basically as far back as possible in the corner of the science building of the college. And I could say I was one of a few people who actually knew where it was. So that was a little bit of exclusivity from my world. But yeah, Austin's a lot different, and it's something that I needed as far as like growing into working with slightly bigger crews and things like that. Would you agree that the film world down here is a lot bigger than anywhere else right now?
Well, I've actually heard that there's a lot of stuff going on in Atlanta right now.
That's right. I just traveled out there.
What was it like out there?
It was interesting. The weather was fantastic. There was Tyler Perry Studios, which I went and took a picture of, and did a little fanning out there, and basically got stopped by the security person. I couldn't go in the studio, but I took a picture. I stopped there, and she got out of her car and like was like, "Hey, sir, you can't be here." And I was like, "Can I take a picture?" And she goes, "You have to take a picture from inside your car." So it was pretty high security area. So I got a selfie of me in my car with you can see my passenger door, and I just got my phone over here. And Tyler Perry Studios, I think it was called One Tyler Perry Way, the road into the studio.
Uh-huh.
But it's 27 different studio lots
Oh wow.
on that property. It's not just one little dinky airplane hangar or anything like that. So definitely the professional sort of union population of film workers are definitely using Austin as a home base right now with all that property there.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, Austin is fantastic. Atlanta is fantastic. I've been hearing a lot about just this region, the southeastern region of the states, becoming a little bit bigger in terms of film productions, just moving out of California and finding places to shoot. Like in 2019, I saw like a news story. There were so many productions going on in Oklahoma that they wrote a news story about it. Feature film productions had come into town to spend money, and because it's a really big economic impact when a big film comes into your city. And the frequency of film productions in Oklahoma was up 90%. I think that was like 2018 numbers. But that's amazing. It's amazing when anything 90% up, referring to like just 90% more money in your pocket and stuff like that.
Oh,
It's always a good thing.
I totally agree to that.
Yeah. But yeah, so in Austin, the last 3 films you did, and so what would you say like you've learned on those films? Have you learned a bunch?
Oh yeah. Well, I've learned that especially the one in Arizona,
Yeah.
this doesn't always happen, but you have to sometimes expect like delays in filming because when I got out there, I thought they were going to be like ready to film everything, but it turns out that they were filming with this iPhone 11 or whatever, and they were getting some lens or some to go with it.
Okay.
But it kept not fitting, so they kept having to go back to the place and and get a new lens that would fit, and then somebody's son on the crew or the cast tested positive for COVID-19, so that got pushed back by the filming got pushed back by a few weeks for a few of the scenes and stuff like that. So I didn't get to film as much as I was going to because I had to be back in time to start my new job. But of course the snowstorm and stuff hits, so whenever it comes to films, you have to make sure that you have to make sure that you're ready to expect delays or whatever, like any surprises, so to speak.
For sure, for sure.
Oh, and you always have to make sure that um, you always have to make sure you have to take care of funding, budgeting, and scripting and everything. Just make sure that you're all ready to go.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Being on a traditional film set and just seeing how every part of the production, so to speak, needs to be pretty efficient.
Uh-huh.
Like the director needs to yell action when everybody's perfectly ready and ready to make the scene happen, and crew and actors included. And it's always interesting to see that. But you're talking about just like not much pre-production was done on that, right?
No, not so much. No.
Like more practice could have been used in like learning a camera and getting a little bit more knowledge and insight into.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Like I specifically remember when I was there, they said the next time we for the next time we film something,
Mhm.
we're just gonna get a camera that has good lens and everything, and make sure that we're ready to go next time, so that we don't have to experience any delays next time.
Yeah, you said they were shooting on an iPhone 11.
Mm-hmm.
That's a bold move. It's a very modernized move.
Huh.
I can't really say much about phone cameras, like specifically like how good they are. I know like the iPhone X is like done a pretty big splash with like specifically the three cameras on the back of it, and the design of it definitely has like Apple's all about like a big look and flashy sort of product. So if you have just more cameras on your one phone than everybody else, that's what Apple wants you to think about.
Uh-huh.
But the iPhone 11, I think that's the one with three cameras, right?
Mm-hmm. It is.
Yeah, that's interesting that they were trying to find a lens that would fit that, because I don't think that would work.
Oh no.
The only lenses that I know of that would fit on a smartphone, they're little magnetic lenses, and they fit on one single camera, but I don't think they make them wide enough to fit on the three camera sort of configuration. Did they go to a rental place to get a phone lens?
Yes, they did.
Interesting. Yeah, I've never heard of that, but I suppose it's not really a big surprise that phones are just trying to break into the filmmaking world. Like I think they hired a director. They hired the director of John Wick. I forget his name right now, but they hired him to shoot a commercial with the iPhone X. It was like a really cool snowball fight, and they filmed it all with the iPhone X, and just had this director like pick the shots and make the camera look really good with somebody who knows how to curate a really good looking video.
But they didn't have to use like a boom mic or anything.
Oh, that's a good question. That's a good question. Yeah, I should look into that and have it for the insights section.
Yeah,
and just
totally.
talk about that a little bit. But that's interesting, man. So like from there, how's Austin been otherwise, man? Like besides film and stuff.
It's I have to admit it's pretty good. I mean, it has the pros and cons. I mean,
Yeah.
like the pros, like the weather, and except for the snowstorm.
Yeah.
But
Except for COVID, except for the snowstorm, except for like
the homeless and stuff.
the homeless and like my car was towed the other day. Not a big fan of that. If we could just ban towing, that'd be great.
Oh yeah, I
Especially
agree
during
with you.
COVID, it's a pretty brutal move. You were there when that happened.
Yeah, but,
Yeah.
and I took you there.
Yeah.
Took you there to get it back.
Not much to film about that. I mean, I don't think I would want to film like that happening, because like I don't know, man. I'd probably throw something at the guy if I was filming.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Yeah, the best move for that was just like get in, get out kind of thing.
But Austin has like really cool parks and really cool lakes, such as Lady
Yeah.
Bird and Lake Travis, and really cool attractions such as the inner space caverns and
Yeah, we went to caves.
and the sculpture falls and stuff like that. It's got great places.
Yeah, you invited me out to caves and that like adventure park area, and that big structure where it's like a like an agility course. What was it called?
The high ropes course.
The high ropes course.
That was at the Natural Bridge Caverns.
Yeah, yeah. So
That was in San Antonio.
we did some cave action, and then we went to the high ropes course and got a little bit of like prehistoric sort of where people lived millions of years ago, and then like modern times where we're still trying to figure out this balance thing.
And now on April 17th, I'm gonna go for the first time in like 11 years to Six Flags Fiesta Texas,
That's gonna be fun.
and I invite you to go too.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna take a whole bunch of pictures. Do they allow pictures in the cameras?
I think they do, yeah.
Okay, cool.
So
I'm gonna take a whole bunch of pictures.
it'll be
It's gonna
me,
be fun.
you, and Jem. Jem's the one that came to the Natural Bridge Caverns with his wife, Sarah.
Oh right, yeah, those
Jem
are the
Coulson.
hardcore like cave people. I don't want to
Yeah.
call them cave people. It doesn't sound very nice, but they're really into caves, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were the one that
Yeah.
told us about the Carlsbad Caverns.
Was that the one they had to like crawl into?
No,
on their belly.
that was the one that had the underground restaurant.
Oh, okay. Oh, the really big one in Houston, right?
Carlsbad.
Carlsbad. Okay.
That was like in New Mexico or in Arizona.
Oh, right. Yeah, I remember that. Because the ceiling was massive, and they just put a cafeteria in there because America, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So like what? So going back to like your film experience, like what types of cameras have you used? Like what's the highest end camera you've been able to operate besides an iPhone 11, I suppose?
Well, I've used Canon 100.
C100.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And
It's a
I've-
solid system.
And I've used an FS7.
Really?
Well, we used those back in lab activities in college,
Really? What did you film with it? Just general, just
like student short films, and like when we practiced lighting or camera angles and stuff like that.
oh,
And-
gotcha.
and-
So you have like a lab hour to
yeah.
to work with camera stuff. That's excellent, man.
And I used to have a Canon T6 DSLR.
T6?
Uh-huh.
Nice. The camera I shoot on is a Canon T5i, and basically all of the EOS Rebel Canon series have the essentially the same sensor,
Mm-hmm.
but there's 3 different versions. Like for the T6, that's the consumer version, and the T6i is a little bit higher. Basically, essentially just more buttons and a little bit more functionality on the camera itself. And then it goes up to the 60 or 70D or 80D, and that's the professional camera. That's you can do lens calibrations, you can do all kinds of different like color calibrations, things like that. That's what I've realized I've needed as I've shot photos for 7 years. Is that I found myself trying to Google how to calibrate my new lens for my camera, and it doesn't exist. I have to get the professional model, which I'm ready for.
Mm-hmm.
But the Sony FS7 is a fantastic camera. I've worked with that on music videos, and I worked with that on a commercial I was on. We shot at this architect's house, doing like some sort of like virtual conference thing, and we shot on 2 FS7s. And the guy, the DP Ryan, was fantastic. I just PA'd the thing, but I remember that they're fantastic cameras and really compact as far as like what they can do and the size of them. They still have the commercial body, so they're pretty good size, but in relation to like the Reds and your Black Magics, they're like really lightweight and easy to use. And like one cool thing for the commercial that I took away from is like they were shooting with 2 cameras. It was like a 45-minute shoot, and we shot like a little under a terabyte of video footage,
Mm-hmm.
which is wild.
Sure is.
Yeah. So what did you do for storage when you were shooting with FS7s and 4K high bit rate footage?
What do we do with storage?
Yeah. Were you shooting in high quality with the FS7?
Yes, I think we were.
4K. Yeah, because I mean, like I said, like we shot like a little over 2 hours. We had 900 gigabits of footage. So just curious, like, what you guys were able to do with that. Did you have like a hard drive like system, NAS system, or something like that?
Yeah, I think we used a SD card that had plenty of memory because, well, in college we only um, our films only had to be like 5 or 6 minutes long.
Okay.
Well, there was one film in college that was like 10 minutes long,
Hmm.
but but that was the project. But it was a class where we had to spend the entire semester planning the project and filming it and everything. So that film was like 10 to 12 minutes long,
Okay.
and that was when I was an assistant editor and one of the background characters that put money in a guy's hat that was playing guitar on the sidewalk.
Was that your film?
Um, it was me and my group.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it was about a guy going to his senior prom, and since his car didn't start, he had to take his sister's bike, and him and his girlfriend had to go by tandem on the bike.
That
So,
sounds
and so
really
we
fun.
and so we called the film Tandem.
That's a good name, man.
Thank you.
So, yeah, I think that's all the questions I have for you. Do you have any questions for me? As far as like insights, do you have any questions about gear or anything like that?
Yes.
Yeah.
What cameras have you used, and what editing software do you use?
Well, as far as cameras go, I started with Canon G20s, and then the school itself got some Sony just 4K commercial cameras. I think it was like 4K AVC HD. Um, they're fantastic little cameras, but they got those as I was moving up. From there, like I worked around Red cameras predominantly, the Red Scarlet, the Red Super 35, the Red Dragon, um, and essentially when I worked on features and different short films and things, we would switch over from DSLR models to cinema models. So I haven't really seen like the A7s, the FS7s at length. It's been pretty much the highest high quality cameras and like sort of the mid range prosumer cameras.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as like all of the cameras I've used, um, let's see, I've shot in sort of arena sort of recordings, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like I shot for this robotics competition, and we had something called a grassland camera and a lens called a Digipower.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially what Digipower lenses are, first of all, it was a $150,000 lens. And attached on the front of this camera is very specialized equipment with focus handles. I think they use these cameras on like national news shows and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And basically this lens can shoot like from 20 millimeter focal length to like 5,000. And it has a 2.1 aperture. So basically the lens is meant to do literally everything and get a great picture no matter
Oh,
what.
sweet.
It was really fun. It was super fun, and it was sort of a commercial live switching format. So anytime, I think we had 3 cameras, one other operator, and then a PTZ camera, which is a robotic controlled camera. So I've worked with all types of sort of commercial cameras, all the way up to cinema Red Dragon cameras. And what I've liked about the Red Dragons is they're very modular, which means you can have an older body like a Red Scarlet HMC1, and then you can actually put in a Red digital sensor. You can install a new sensor in the old body.
Mm-hmm.
So if you invest in a Red Dragon like body system, it's just like building a custom computer. You can take pieces out and put new pieces in. So it's really interesting. But yeah, I'd say like as far as like all of the cameras I work with, I'd probably say Sony, Red, and Canon specifically.
Cool.
But yeah. And what was the other question?
What editing software do you use?
Oh, Adobe Premiere. I've had Adobe Premiere on my own computer since about 2014.
Wow, that's
And
a
I've
long
used
time.
it. Yeah, I've used it pretty consistently for my own YouTube channel stuff, client stuff, and things like that. And back up north, I had a lot of my own gear, and I did a lot of what our friend JD was doing on set, which was sort of vending out equipment. And that's kind of a new archetype of person on shorter films. Is specifically it's a lot of crewmates that come in, and then I've seen this a lot, and I've been one of them. Is one guy will just vend all of the equipment. Like he'll have the lighting, he'll have the camera, he'll have the sound equipment. May or may not have the sound equipment, but he'll come in with literally everything, and the director will come in with his project and his script, and we'll just make it happen. And that was my experience and kind of my position I took on short films at the school I worked at, or I mean not worked at, but went to. But yeah, I was working and getting clients in during school, getting paid gigs. So it was a lot of work and a lot of play at the same time. It's a lot of fun.
Well, that's all the questions I have for you.
Oh, thanks, man. Well, that wraps up this segment of Blake and I's interviews and insights. Coming up, we have our other co-host, Julian, with inside stories and fun anecdotes from the industry. Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.
I need some water. That was good, man.
Yeah, it
That was
was.
a great